Today on the spot, we celebrate Tuesday with the traditional This Week on Wii Shop Channel, then move on to daily demos for PlayStation Move Heroes and The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings. Rounding out the show is a primer for DC Universe Online coming from our GameSpot UK office. Today on the spot.
Welcome to the GameSpot studios for another episode of Today on the Spot. I'm your host, Chris Waters, and joining me in the co-host chair is Curtis Said, Game Guide's editor and crew member of the Normandy, as I'm led to believe by your garments.
Apparently I am part of Shepard's crew, or Shepard himself.
Who knows? I mean, you can design the Shepard any way you want.
Yeah.
It could be Curtis. Mass Effect 3, hopefully later this year.
That's what we're hoping. Who knows?
We've got some paid professional finger crossers on the case for that release date, but let's talk about what we've got going on today. We've got trivia, we've got demos, and we've got the latest headlines from the GameSpot news team. Take it away, guys.
Hey everybody, it's your GameSpot news update for Tuesday, February 8th. I'm Tor Thorson. Sony Ericsson has finally put all PlayStation phone rumors to bed with the reveal of the Xperia Play handset. The device does, as predicted, have a very similar form factor to the PSP Go and will run the Android operating system. A full reveal has been promised for later this week during a February 13th event at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. The Xperia Play will bear the PlayStation certified logo, as well as the familiar PlayStation face buttons, a D-pad, and shoulder buttons. It will feature access to the PlayStation Suite online services that were revealed at last month's NGP unveiling in Japan, allowing it to run PS1 games alongside all the normal range of Android apps. In other news, The Darkness is getting a sequel. The follow-up to the 2007 critical hit will arrive in the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC this fall. It will continue the narrative criminal Jackie Escatado and his mystical power, The Darkness, as told as a comic book franchise created by Cow Productions. The title will be developed by Digital Extremes, the Canadian shop behind Dark Sector, the multiplayer component of BioShock 2, and the upcoming PC version of Homefront. The studio also assisted in the Chronicles of Riddick: Assault on Dark Athena. 2K Games says The Darkness will distance itself from other first-person shooters with its quad-wielding gameplay mechanic. This option allows players to slash, grab, and throw objects and enemies with their demon arms while simultaneously firing two weapons. Ooh, fancy! Well, that's it, your GameSpot news update for Tuesday, February 8th. For more headlines, head on over to news.gamespot.com.
And you know it wouldn't be a Tuesday Tots without a look at This Week on the Wii Shop Channel.
This week on Wii Shop Channel. In WiiWare, hone your observational skills and spot the differences. Use your eyeballs to analyze and find differences in 160 scenes. 4 game modes are available, including Arcade, Time Attack, Select Scenes, and Multiplayer mode. After that, be afraid of the dark in the lit demo. Dark creatures have taken over Jake's high school, and it's up to you to guide him through each classroom in order to rescue his lady friend. Ration your light sources wisely to create safe passage or disappear into darkness forever. Also in demo form this week is Urbanix. Play as a tiny tractor on Earth, at the North Pole, or on the Moon, building cities and dodging bad guys. In Virtual Console, you are Scat. No, you're not Feces, you're part of the Special Cybernetic Attack Team, SCAT, and it's up to you to save the world from an alien invasion. Capture and adapt multiple weapon systems and enjoy single-player mode or 2-player cooperative play. In Nintendo DSiWare, do some in-flight damage in GG Series Dark Spirits. In this side-scrolling shooter, it's up to you to destroy the enemy by making use of 4 familiars that fly in formation around your vessel. Quickly switch the formation pattern of your familiars with the touch of a button to do battle with a variety of enemies sent to kill you. Then defend furries in Boom Boom Squaries. Create chain reactions that will pop the evil square invaders bent on the destruction of all that is round in the world. Prove your skill in 4 different game modes: Classic, Challenge, Time Trial, and Endless. Afterwards, get your puzzle on with 505 Tangram. Solve 505 Tangram puzzles by assembling the 7 pieces of each puzzle correctly. Finally this week, hit the parallel bars in Sean Johnson Gymnastic. Stick your landing on vaults and nail your combinations on the beam to impress the judges. Start as an amateur and work your way up, earning awards on your way to the World Championships. That's all the time we have, folks. Join us next week for more This Week on Wii Shop Channel.
All right, now it's time for our first of 2 daily demos. Curtis, tell the folks what they're in for.
We're checking out Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings.
Game Demo.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's daily demo. Joining us is Tomasz Gop of CD Projekt. Thank you so much for joining us, Tomasz.
Thanks for hosting me.
So what did you bring for us?
Oh, obviously, I brought The Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings. It's one of the early pre-beta builds, but it's got a lot of stuff. Adventure, it's got combat, it's got cool environments.
The original Witcher was this really interesting RPG that was based on, I guess, a series of very famous Polish novels. It was dark fantasy, it was very kind of adult stuff, and it sounds like there's a lot of new changes that we're making to The Witcher 2. There's a new combat system and a magic system. Tell us about how that stuff works.
Yeah, there are things that we have changed deeply, like the combat system, but there are things that we have improved but not revolutionized. So combat has been redesigned completely. I mean, we get kind of dual feedback from fans, media, community. By the time we released The Witcher 1, some people thought it was too hardcore, only for these guys that wanted to dig deep into its features. So we made sure that on the easiest difficulty setting of The Witcher 2, you will be able to swipe through combat really easily. But there is at least as much complexity as there was in The Witcher 1. So for all these guys that will be digging deep, character development is really extensive. And there is even like insane difficulty setting unlockable after you finish the game on hard. So it's at least as much.
Okay, but the thing is, there's also a lot of things about the original game that I think a lot of fans really enjoyed, and it sounds like a lot of that stuff is coming back. Some of the mini games, the gambling, the fist fighting in the taverns, things like that, and also a bunch of new side quests as well, right?
Yeah, we didn't want to do a completely different kind of a story. I mean, it is a different story because it's a sequel. The story is brand new. But we didn't want to think about this, changing the best aspects of it. So the choices are still difficult. They're not like good or evil. They're more like shades of gray. The world is really, a lot of things about this world are ambiguous. So you still will be running around and thinking, I mean, it forces a lot of players to make their own choices, and it makes the whole storyline to be different for everyone because we've got 16 different endings. And I think when people will have finished The Witcher 2, a lot of them talking about what they have seen and what they have experienced in the game, it will be a different kind of experience. So comparing that will also be fun.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of side quests, I guess we've got one loaded up. Can you tell us about what we're seeing here?
Yeah, the one that we're seeing here is actually a side quest where one of the elves asked us to draw conclusions from the bodies that are laid in catacombs nearby. So we're just heading towards that, and because Geralt has an expert knowledge on monsters, he will be able to find out what killed these guys, what type of monster killed these guys. On his way, obviously, he meets some of the opponents. The cool thing about the combat situation that we see right now is that there are different types of opponents, require different tactics, and we'll be using different kinds of weapons against them. So strong guys require blocking. There's also a magician in business who tries to throw bolts at us. So we'll also be trying to, time our combat right, and we can also choose different magical signs to throw in. We also have items that we can throw, and blocking, for example, plays a huge role in The Witcher 2 because opponents that are really strong, if you block their strikes, they are so like fighting in a strong stance that they get out of balance, and getting counterattack at that moment is really, really cool. That was one of the bombs. It actually triggers really cool finishing move. It's one of the features of the stunning bomb. There you go. And there's a magician actually tends to teleport or heal himself. So normally, I mean, because for the sake of this presentation, we tuned up health of Geralt. Mm-hmm. Normally, it would be quite difficult. And obviously, there is loot that guys. I mean, it's not totally something unusual for RPG to have loot, but compared to The Witcher 1, we have gone great lengths with character customization. So things you can find right now, you can put them on, and it changes parts of how Geralt looks. All of them have different statistics. We even have rarity system. So some of them will be more difficult to find, and we even have crafting. So there's a lot of stuff that has been done to make The Witcher 2 even more full-bodied RPG than it was before.
I think earlier when we saw Geralt fighting, there was a radial menu that opened up that showed switching between different spells and your weapons and things. How does that work?
It's like actually in The Witcher 1 you had an octave pulse that allowed you to choose your statistic and tactics. Really, you could take your time. Right now it only slows time, so it still gives you some time, but like not as much as you want. But you can choose magical signs, you can choose type of sword, and you can also customize your quick slots and use items that you have. Obviously things like meditation and preparation for combat should be done beforehand, but you cannot do it in a combat mode. But you can do a lot of other things and yeah, choose your tactics. You can actually even mix sword with magic throwing in magical signs. There you go. One of them is a magical shield. It's one that guys know from The Witcher 1, but the effects of that have been extended, and it has this kind of knockback effect. So if anyone tries to hit you, he gets knocked back. And we also leveled up in this build that I'm showing you here. We leveled up this shield so that it gets like a chain reaction on everyone who's nearby. And this is actually a cool situation because a bunch of soldiers have been attacked by another bunch of monsters, and you're kind of in the middle of this. So it really kind of tends to be difficult. Yes, the magical shield is a really good tactics against such a huge group of the opponents.
And this is like a fireball type spell?
This was the Igni sign, which actually is throwing a fiery magic, and this is what you actually do if you want to put enemies on fire. It has this longer lasting effect, which is cool. And these are the catacombs that I was speaking about.
So but the different magic abilities, they seem like they have kind of a tactical use, or there may be better situations to use certain ones, or better enemies.
Definitely,
or more vulnerable.
not only better situation, but also different types of opponents, different types of things you can do. There are more usages to actually signs. You not only use them in combat, but like now you will see that you can also use one of the magical signs to open up passages and to destroy obstacles, and it gives you the new ways of exploration. There are also monsters. Cool thing is, and it's one of the features of our game, it's always been, because these monsters are magical creatures, we have chosen a different sword, the silver sword, not the steel one, so it's more effective against this guy. I mean, there are a lot of things in the combat that you could actually find out. You probably have to feel it and feel it for yourself, because it's like, if you try to get around the opponent and hit him in the back, you deal like twice more damage. If you try to combine one of the signs, which is a magical trap on the ground, you stun your opponents, and then you're able to deal more damage because he's more vulnerable, and so on and so on and so on. Well, the cool thing about it, it's all real time right now. You're not attached to any type of stance, any type of fighting. You can throw in a strike, strong strike, fast strike. You can throw in some magic, so it's all like, there you go. And when you combine this, you might find your own ways to be really effective against different types of opponents.
And just given the fact that obviously there's going to be many different types of weapons and armor, as well as different types of weapons, how much kind of customization can you do with the weapon?
Oh, well, compared to The Witcher 1, it's pretty much like infinite growth, but basically there will be like dozens and even hundreds of things that you can find in locations, and there's going to be like a lot of things that have different statistics, and I already told you different like rarity of these items. And there will also be things like the whole suits that if you collect everything together, will give you an extra. In the corner of the screen, you could actually even, well, you could have seen just a moment ago a combat log that actually shows that the combat that you're seeing right now is not a simple hack and slash combat. It's a combat that has all the gameplay, real RPG things and mechanisms underneath it.
So it takes into account, how strong the weapon is.
Exactly, the chance of miss
sure.
and damage and pretty much everything. There you go. We actually found the body that we're seeking for. This is so-called a freshly put here body. So it's got a lot of clues on it, and we can find a lot of it. Actually, this is the moment where this quest gets non-linear, because you find a lot of things on his body, and obviously it gives you clues towards what kind of monster killed this guy. But if you really dig deep into it, and if you really seek more and more clues, you will find that some things are not right. Because it will turn out in a moment that a kind of monster that killed this guy is succubus. So it is a female-shaped monster that drains energy from young men. But the thing about it is she doesn't kill men. So actually something is wrong, and this is where another part of the story starts. So yeah, even as for a side quest, this really is a non-linear one. It's not the main part of the story, but what we tried to do is wanted to make sure that storytelling is not only about the main one. Obviously there are quests that are really simple and let you like grind levels only, like kill 5 harpies and bring me stuff back. But most of them take longer path. Some of them are even take place throughout the whole chapters of the game, or even throughout many of them. And yes, so
right. So
it's once again stressing that this game is story-based, and the main feature of the game.
Yeah, and this quest, I guess, or this part of the game is kind of showing off Geralt's detective skills, because I guess since he's a witcher, he's a professional monster hunter, he knows, okay, these markings kind of look like maybe this sort of monster.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, we've put bigger stress than previously on the fact that Geralt knows a lot about what monsters do and what things that they're used to do. So in this case, you will be finding a lot more clues depending on what you see, what you read, what you find out, and what your knowledge is, because it's one of the branches of character development, knowledge on monsters. There will be even places where you find the nests of the monsters, and if you know what the tactics is against replenishing all the monsters in the area, you will find really rare or even unique magical ingredients or alchemical ingredients. And obviously you will also encounter really big and nasty monsters like this one.
Oh, that's a big one.
That is a big one. His name is Arakas, and there's quite a variety of these. And there are not too many tactics against this one that are really effective. You can see that we don't deal too much damage. Let me tell you that even as in this build, health of Geralt is tuned up, you can still see that he deals a serious amount of damage. So it stresses one more fact. We don't have auto-leveled enemies. I mean, normally in a game, this would be a really, really tough opponent, so we would try to level up and get back here. So it is a game of, you know, oh yeah, this was actually a really cool thing about killing this guy with a stunning bomb. You also see that we have an entry in the journal, because it turned out that this kind of stunning bomb is an extremely effective tactics against this opponent.
So Geralt is saying, aha, this type of monster, I'm doing
this was aha, yeah.
yeah.
It was the case where he aha. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, very cool. So we've seen the Witcher 2 in action. We've seen Geralt doing what he does best, hunting monsters. Tomasz, thanks so much for coming. Can you remind our viewers at home when the game is coming out and for which platforms?
Sure. The Witcher 2 is coming out worldwide on PC on May 17th, 2011. I just would like everyone to check it out.
Okay, great. That was today's daily demo with The Witcher 2. Thanks a lot for watching.
Yes, folks, that was but the first of our 2 daily demos. And before we get to the second one, we're going to take a little trip overseas. Jane Douglas and Guy Cocker over in our UK offices put together a primer on DC Universe Online to help get you folks started with your superhero career, or supervillain as the case may be. Let's roll that right now.
Lose something?
Greetings.
Okay, so DC Universe Online is one of the most popular games on the site right now. A lot of interest in it, and so a lot of people are already with it and playing it. But we thought for someone who hasn't tried it yet, we'd give you a primer, a little rundown, and maybe a little bit of what the fuss is about, okay?
Yeah, so Jane, you've been playing it.
I have been
You've been superheroing it up and
I've mostly been supervillaining it up,
okay.
Yes, exactly. So for somebody who hasn't seen anything about the game, the premise, oh gosh, here we go, is that Lex Luthor travels back in time to tell Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman that everyone has to club together to save the world from Brainiac in the future. Yeah. So they need to create a whole bunch more superheroes and supervillains, it turns out, by releasing this Brainiac technology on Earth, which creates your superheroes and supervillains, which neatly explains why you're not playing as any of the DC universe characters. So you're not playing as Batman and whatnot, but you are playing as your own original superhero or supervillain alongside or against those characters.
It raises a lot of questions. Where do they get the midichlorians from?
Exabytes. From Brainiac.
Right,
from the bad guy.
Why does he
in the future?
In the future.
I don't know.
Okay, so you got to accept this stuff.
You got to accept this, right? So if you choose a superhero, you spawn into Metropolis in the police department, and if you choose a supervillain, then you come into Gotham in a nightclub in Gotham. Right. But the character creator, which is worth taking a look at, and the first thing you'll see, obviously, when you buy the game, you get your 30 days free, and it's pretty deep. So you choose your superhero, supervillain. So that's your morality, and then like obviously your gender and your build and your personality, and your costume is completely customizable down to like individual colors, and similarly like the emblem on your outfit. Also your weapons and your powers style, like your group of powers, so like fire or ice or mental or nature and all of that. And I'm sure there's some more customization options in there as well.
But the big thing is, so you can't be Batman, but you can create someone who looks.
You can't be Batman.
I can't be Batman. I keep trying. I keep going around
you can create a very Batman-like dude.
You can create someone that looks like him, like Nick Cage in that film Kick-Ass.
Quite in Kick-Ass.
Okay.
There are template characters, so if you're not the kind of person who wants to spend like 2 or 3 hours creating a character, and I mean, you know, why would you? Then you can choose template characters which look uncannily like, you know, the familiar characters. So you can look a little bit like Superman if you want. Yeah.
I'm not the sort of person that want to spend an hour doing my character, but I am the sort of person that would want to put a giant profanity on my chest. Is that going to happen?
No. There's a preset preset group of emblems, so like letters and you know, like chess pieces, and you know, nice, safe, family-friendly emblems.
So moving on from my giant phallic obsession across my chest, what else can What else can you do? You can create powers. What groups of powers can you have? Can you be like? Well,
that comes into the leveling. So you choose your group of powers. So say fire. For my superhero, and then once you start leveling up and you start sinking points into the talent trees, and you get new abilities like related to fire, for example, and also related to your kind of combat, so your weapons group, right? Got it. Okay. Oh, and then there's also personality, which is just a cosmetic option, and it determines what kind of animations you do, like in emotes. So, like your dance animation can be like silly, or like flirty, or whatever.
You can dance really seriously.
It's really serious dancing. Right. I think that is an option, but for the life of me, I'm not sure what that means. So,
and flirty dance as well.
Flirty dancing. Right. I'll capture some of that. We can have it on video. Okay. All right.
Stuff. And so, what about the cities themselves? Because I mean, this is the real attraction. You know, getting to fly around Metropolis. And, you know, can you hold down a job, and you know, what do you do in Metropolis?
It's not like a life sim, so you can actually have a job like a secret identity or anything. That would be cool. No, the environments at Metropolis and Gotham obviously completely different. Like Gotham is really gloomy and kind of gothy, obviously, and Metropolis always pretty dark. And you got the bat signal in the sky, which is excellent, and you can go check out like Arkham Asylum. In fact, I was quite impressed by how open the city seems to you from the get-go. You know, you're not really kind of controlled in where you go to start off with, although there is a tutorial level on like Brainiac's ship to start off with.
Cyborg, concentrate fire on Luthor while I call down some artillery. Deathstroke.
And you were telling me about flying up to the top of the Daily Planet, and then just some super hardcore guy essentially flicking you off the top.
Well, like I say, I've been playing a supervillain, so I create a superhero just to, you know, go check out Metropolis. And so I'm a level 1, and I climb to the top of LexCorp Tower, which I think is probably the tallest building in Metropolis. And that was just level 30. Supervillain up there, because I was on a PvP server, player versus player server, and you just kicked my ass.
Right.
So that was my experience as a superhero. I'm a bit bullied.
Yeah.
Superhero.
Oh, that's a bad instance, but you know, I'm sure it's good just flying around these cities and kind of, you know, seeing what's going on. Can you kind of just get involved fighting random crime? Or?
Yeah, the environments are really impressive, I found. And you do have quests, obviously. It's an MMO, so you've got quest-based things. They've talked a lot about taking the grind out of the game. And I mean, I have leveled quite fast, but I don't know if you can completely remove the grind from an MMO. Anyway, and then there's like instances, so kind of like raids where you'll be with other players, and player versus player events. And locations, that kind of thing.
And so the real superheroes, not the real superheroes, but the superheroes we all know and love.
Canon superheroes.
Canon superheroes. Right. They're the ones that dish out the actual quests themselves, and they're the ones that they're your mentor.
Yeah. So in fact, yeah, right. So they're quest givers. But you may also encounter them, say, like in an instance quest. So you might be fighting, I think I had Huntress as a supervillain we had to fight in an early instance. And they are your mentor characters as well. That's probably one of the more interesting options when in your character creation, is that you choose a superhero, supervillain, to be your kind of guide and mentor character, and they'll communicate with you in the game. So like Superman if you're a superhero, or say the Joker if you're a supervillain.
Right, okay. So it sounds like it's pretty good fun. I mean, as someone who's not massively into the MMO scene, is it, you know, it's got a subscription model, you buy the game, it's pretty much the same on PlayStation 3 and PC, but it is going to take you a subscription to keep going with this thing.
Yeah, so it's 30 days up front for free, and then £10 a month after that. Between the versions, I've been playing the PS3 one mostly, and the controls do feel good. It feels like an experience that's well tailored for a console experience, if you know what I mean. The combat is like this kind of 2-button combos focused thing, and then your special abilities on top of that. So it's quite frantic, I suppose, at times, in a way that your PC-based MMOs traditionally aren't.
Right.
So yeah.
So it's out now. PlayStation 3, PC. The two are not cross-compatible.
No,
so you only play with PS3.
Yeah, if you want to play with your friends, get the same format.
PC. But you've been playing on PlayStation 3. Your natural erring seems to be towards supervillain, which is worrying.
Yeah.
If you could be any superhero, you're more of a supervillain. You'd be more of a Lex Luthor
I think
type.
Gotham's a little cooler as well, actually, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
The Falcones are gonna bust my kneecaps if you take this. And my kid won't get his operation.
So you've been enjoying it, Lee?
Yes, yes. Worth a look, worth a look. Worth a £10 a month subscription? I don't know, we'll see. I haven't been on it for a month yet. So.
All right.
Bring him to me!
You ever wonder what it would be like to mix some of your favorite Sony mascots together, like having Sly and Jack in the same game? Well, check it out now. We're going to look at a demo for PlayStation Move Heroes.
Game demo.
All right, everybody, it is time for your daily demo. Today, we've got PlayStation Move Heroes. We've got Rob and Woody here to describe the game for us, guys. Thank you for joining us. Pretend I don't know anything about this game. How would you describe this?
It's a title made from the ground up for the Move, featuring 3 of the greatest Sony franchises ever: Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, and Sly Cooper, Sly and Bentley in our game. It's not meant to be a continuation of any of those franchises, but it's really bringing the characters that everyone knows and loves, the sense of humor, the setting, some of the weapons, and putting them together in something that's really built to exercise the Move controller and let people just have a fun time, playing with the Move.
You have Move controllers in your hand,
Absolutely.
So I'll let you guys get to it. Let's get this game started and show everybody what this is all about.
Sure. So there's 5 different types of core gameplay in the game. There's disc, bowling, melee, gun, and whip. And they all have a very different feel. They all use the controller in very different ways. This this disc mission, you move the character around with the navigation or the 6-axis, and you use the Move controller to throw discs. Once you throw them, you continue to use the Move controller to guide it with really a lot of precision and a lot of agility. But the goal of this mission is really to let the player explore the environment. You can see we have a mixture of different kind of notable locations from Metropolis City. We've got the trains and some kind of iconic buildings. And that's what you're going to see throughout the game. It's like pieces of the player's homeworlds taken and built into these arenas. Each character that you use also has their own unique ability. So since Woody chose Clank in this mission, he's got access to the Zoni power. Once he collects enough crystals and the meter in the upper left is full, he can use the L1 button on the navigation controller or the 6-axis, and he gets a brief little assistance from his Zoni helpers. Different characters have different special abilities, and it varies depending on the mission as well. In each mission, you can get either a bronze, silver, or gold, depending on how well you do. The goal is to get at least a bronze, which allows you to advance, unlock the next set of missions. But a more advanced player that wants to get higher on the leaderboard or unlock different trophies, they'll want to replay the mission a couple more times, try to get a silver or gold. In bowling, you're more physically bound to the ground, but you can still use the controller to steer both on the ground and in the air. And you can also use the controller to hop, to go over obstacles or bounce off walls and so on. So it's very much more of like a puzzle aspect. How do you navigate the world and use things like the boost rings and different ramps to achieve your objectives? In this case, his objective is, same as it was in the last mission, to hit all those caged wibbles and free them. In this case, he's got 20 that he's got to find versus 10. And as you get different plateaus, like 15, 20, you get different medal levels. Every level also contains a hidden collectible that the player can find once per game, and getting the hidden collectibles in each area unlocks new costumes for the characters. So since this, in this particular mission, you would be you're looking for gold coins because you're in a Paris mission. If you're in a Haven mission, you'll be looking for precursor orbs. So things, again, taken from the original franchises. Gun is obviously one that we had to do. I mean, especially the Ratchet and Clank franchise is known for its variety of weaponry. So depending on which gun challenge you pick, you're going to have various weapons such as the Combuster, the Bouncer Cannon, or the
Red Morph Gun.
The Red Morph Gun,
Right.
Thank you. And in each mission, your objective also changes. So the first 2 missions we saw, the objective was to find the trapped wibbles, free them by smashing the cages. Here you can see we have wibbles and cages again, but they're on these towers. The goal here is to protect those towers so that the enemies that are attacking them don't get them to lower, and then they basically can attack the wibbles. So you're protecting them by fending off the enemies from 3 different towers scattered throughout the level. And also when you stand near the towers, you actually recharge it. And we can mix and match the objectives against different weapons. So sometimes you'll be playing, this is called a Guardian mode. Sometimes you'll play this with a gun weapon. Sometimes you'll play it with even a bowling ball. We have a mission where you're bowling against enemies to keep them from attacking these wibble pods. So a lot of variety comes from mix and matching the objective versus the weapon. And also you can see this mission is limited by health. So in addition to keeping track of the health of the pods in the upper right of the screen, he's also got to keep track of his own health in terms of the number of hearts in the upper left and look for health power-ups and other opportunities to stay in the game. So here he's using his auto hack ability. You can see enemies that he comes into range start attacking each other instead of attacking him, giving him a lot of time to take them out, heal the pods if he wants to. And that's basically an example of gun and guardian mode of the game.
All right, cool.
So one of the cool things is any of the missions of the game, you can play both single player or cooperatively. When you play cooperatively, one player has the nav controller or 6-axis and the motion controller. The other player just has an additional motion controller, and they play kind of a support role. But in addition to just collecting crystals to power up my attacks, I have a choice of 4 different abilities I can do. My basic ability is going to just kind of be a gun that shoots into the environment. But I can also, once I get enough crystals, I can use these other abilities, some of which are unique to my character. And I can start helping Woody out by smashing enemies that are off to the side or smashing crates, all the while looking for opportunities to sweep these more distant crystals that he can't reach. And now I've got enough to maybe throw some grenades into the environment, which take out groups of enemies, which really helps him out. Or in the case of this one, I can do a temporal rift, which actually sucks a larger group of enemies into sort of a wormhole type thing, which is Clank's special ability. So let's see, a good time for a wormhole here. Throw that out there, and you suck those guys in. I can also be supportive to the game by giving him an extra time power-up. So if we're low on time and I have enough crystals, I can simply pull my trigger and give him a time extension. So this is kind of like a capture the flag type of experience. The more you bring back, the higher the medal you get. You also get bonuses for collecting multiple wibbles before you take them back, but that entails risk because you're not getting the health power-ups and the sort of guaranteed medals that you get by returning them one by one. So here's a nice Groovatron spot. But I'm going to disrupt their fun by throwing a temporal rift at them. So a lot of different combination ways to have fun, destroy things in the environment.
All right, nice work. Well, I appreciate you guys coming by and showing the game. Before we let you go, can you remind everybody out there when PlayStation Move Heroes is going to be out in stores?
Yeah, PlayStation Move Heroes is March 22nd. And also there's going to be a unique bundle pack at Toys R Us that gives you the PlayStation Eye, a motion controller, and PlayStation Move Heroes for $99.99.
All right, there you guys have it. That's PlayStation Move Heroes. Now on with the rest of the show.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we've now arrived at the trivia portion of our show, aka the time when we unveil these weird little boxes and show you what's in them. Curtis, will you do the honors?
I will.
Ta-da! It's Witcher 2 stuff. We've got, what do we have here, a t-shirt?
Looks like a t-shirt, some kind of calendar with sayings from the official Witcher forums. We've got pictures of the various characters from the game.
All sorts of Witcher 2 goodies, and don't be alarmed, there's an empty DVD slot. We had to keep that, that's for us. The rest of the cool stuff is for you though, if you can answer this question. What is the name of the author who created The Witcher? If you think you know the answer, send it to us using the Answer Trivia button on the webpage you're on, or shoot us an email to onthespot@gamespot.com. Good luck! And with that, Curtis, the show is coming to a close. Now, before we go, you are working on a little thing called Marvel vs. Capcom 3, am I right?
Yeah, just a little game probably nobody's heard of, apparently.
Just sort of they're sneaking it out next week. And actually, we've been making quite a fanfare of it here on our site because we had that tournament. And round 2 aired on Friday. Round 3 coming up this Friday. You'll get to see how the whole thing concludes and who stands atop the victor's podium. Also this week, we've got ongoing coverage of DICE. And for an explanation of that acronym, we go to Curtis Said.
It's design, innovate, communicate, and entertain.
It's the whole verb extravaganza, like right in a row.
Yep, it's way too many verbs for my taste.
But if you want to get caught up on the latest from DICE, be sure to follow us on Facebook. You'll get all the breaking news there, sent to your feed, served up real nice for you. Now for everyone here in the GameSpot studios, I'm Chris Waters.
And I'm Curtis Said.
Saying have a great week, and we'll see you later.
Hey, you ever wonder what would happen if you mixed together your favorite Sony PlayStation characters like Jack or Dexter or... Wait, they're in the same game.
Let's just do it one more time. All right. And I will do it properly. Thank you for your patience.